Meet Marcus. Marcus is 58 years old. He has been working the same job for 26 years. He has been contributing to his 401k since his HR manager handed him a folder on his first week and said, "Make sure you sign up for this. It's basically free money." Marcus signed up. Marcus has been responsible. Marcus has done exactly what he was told to do. He logs into his retirement account on a Tuesday night, and the balance says $118,000. And Marcus does the math. He has maybe 7 years left before he wants to retire. He needs somewhere around $1.2 million to maintain his current lifestyle through retirement. He has $118,000. That's not a gap, that's a canyon. That's a completely different zip code from where he needs to be. So Marcus calls his financial advisor. And his financial advisor, with the energy of someone who has delivered this news before and learned not to make eye contact, tells him he needs to save more aggressively going forward. Marcus is 58. He doesn't have going forward. He has 7 years. And here's the thing. Marcus didn't fail. Marcus was set up to fail by a system that was never actually designed to get him to retirement. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how that happened. Because the 401k, the thing roughly 70 million Americans are depending on to not die broke, has an origin story that nobody in the financial industry wants to put on a poster. It started as a tax loophole. Then it became a corporate cost-cutting strategy. And somewhere along the way, it turned into a multi-hundred-billion-dollar fee machine, where you're the one funding the fees. Let's start with what everyone believes. The mainstream story about the 401k goes something like this. It's a retirement savings account. Your employer often matches contributions. The money grows tax-deferred. You put money in for decades, it compounds, and when you retire, you're fine. It's the responsible thing to do. It's what adults do. It's basically non-negotiable at this point, like flossing, but for your financial future. And the numbers on the surface seem to support this. Average 401k balance across all age groups in 2024, $148,153 according to Vanguard. That sounds not terrible, right? Americans are saving. The system is working. And then you look at the median balance, not the average. The median, meaning the person sitting right in the middle of every American 401k holder. And that number is $38,176. $38,000. Not $380,000, not $38 million, $38,000. That is one moderately bad medical event away from zero. That is 7 months of rent in a major city. That is approximately not a retirement. And it gets worse, because that $38,000 median is only counting people who have a 401k. What about everyone else? Well, 54% of American households report having no dedicated retirement savings at all. Zero. Not a low balance. Not an underfunded account. An empty screen where a future should be. Meanwhile, Americans think they need $1.26 million to retire comfortably. That's the number from a 2025 survey, $1.26 million. And the median working American has $38,000. Let that sink in for a second. The gap between what people have and what they need isn't just large. It's so large that closing it would require a completely different life between now and retirement for most people. So how did we get here? How does a system that's been running for nearly 50 years produce numbers this bad? The answer starts with a man named Ted Benna and a loophole buried on page 312 of a tax bill. Which brings us to the mechanism. Because this is the part that changes how you look at every retirement account statement you will ever read again. The year is 1978. Congress passes the Revenue Act of 1978. Tucked inside, because of course it is a small, obscure provision called Section 401k. The original purpose? Let corporate executives defer a portion of their compensation and avoid immediate taxes on it. That's it, a tax break for people who already had plenty of money. It was not designed for teachers, truck drivers, nurses, or administrative assistants. It was designed for the people in the corner offices. Then in 1980, a benefits consultant named Ted Benna stumbled across this clause and realized it could be structured to let ordinary employees contribute pre-tax dollars to an investment account, with employers optionally matching contributions. Ted Benna later reportedly said he may have created a monster. Ted, you did, because here's what happened next. Corporate America looked at the 401k, then looked at the pension, and asked one very simple, very expensive question. Why are we guaranteeing employees a fixed income for life when we could just not? In 1983, roughly 62% of private sector workers had a defined benefit pension, a real pension. You work, you retire, you get a guaranteed check every month until the day you die. The company funds it. The company bears all the investment risk. If the market crashes 40% the year you retire, that is the company's problem, not yours. Today, that number has collapsed to around 15%. In less than 40 years, the dominant retirement vehicle for American workers went from "we guarantee you income for life" to "here's a brokerage account and a list of mutual funds, do your best, we'll see you at your going away party." And corporations loved this transition. Because with a pension, every employee is a long-term liability on the balance sheet, a fixed cost that doesn't end until the person does. With a 401k, the company makes an optional contribution, maybe matches some percentage, and the moment you cash your last paycheck, you are entirely on your own. They transferred the investment risk completely to the worker. They eliminated decades of guaranteed obligations, they cut billions in costs, and they sold it to you as freedom, flexibility, being in control of your own destiny, which is a little like a landlord telling you, "Great news, instead of us handling maintenance, you now have the freedom to fix your own plumbing." Most people said, "Okay," because what was the alternative? But here's the part that doesn't make it into the HR orientation packet, the part that is technically disclosed, but buried so deep in plan documents that 65% of retirement savers have no idea it's happening to them at all: the fees. Now, fees sound boring, I know, stay with me. Because this is the part of the story where the numbers go from mildly depressing to genuinely infuriating. Every 401k charges fees. Multiple types of fees, actually. You've got investment fees, the expense ratio on whatever mutual funds you're invested in. You've got administrative fees, the cost of running the plan. Sometimes you've got individual service fees on top of that, and these fees are not deducted as a visible line item on your statement. They come off the top of your returns, silently, automatically, month after month after month, for your entire working life. And here's the thing about small percentages and long time horizons: they are not small. The Department of Labor itself ran this example. Start with the same account, same contributions, same investment performance. One account has fees of 0.5%, the other has fees of 1.5%. That's a 1% difference. Over a 40-year career, the higher fee account ends up 28% smaller, not 1% smaller, not even 5% smaller, 28%. Gone, not to bad investments, not to market crashes, to fees. And a study from Demos found that over a lifetime, a median income two-earner household will pay nearly $155,000 in 401k fees and those fees consume nearly one-third of their total investment returns. One-third. You work for 35 years. You contribute every paycheck. You do everything right. And roughly $1 out of every 3 that should be yours quietly disappears into a fee structure you didn't know existed, couldn't easily find if you tried, and never explicitly agreed to. 41% of Americans are unaware they pay any 401k fees at all. Not low fees, not high fees, any fees. Zero awareness that this is happening, and this is not an accident. Fees are not shown as dollar amounts on most statements. They are percentage-based, buried in fund prospectuses, written in a language specifically designed to require a finance degree to decode. The complexity is a feature, not a bug, because confusion is profitable. Now here's the historical rhyme, the one that makes this story more than just a personal finance problem, because this is not the first time Americans were handed a new retirement system and told it was better, right before it turned out to be better for everyone except them. Think about what happened when pensions were being phased out in the 1980s and 1990s. The story from corporations and their lobbyists was consistent and compelling. 401ks give workers more control, more flexibility, the ability to grow their savings faster than a pension ever could. Workers could be investors. Workers could beat the market. Workers could build generational wealth. What actually happened? The workers who had pensions and transitioned to 401ks took on all the market risk they previously didn't have. Many had no investment experience. Many were defaulted into high-fee, actively managed funds that consistently underperformed simple index alternatives. Many cashed out early when they changed jobs and got hit with penalties. And when 2001 came and then 2008, workers who were within years of retirement watched their accounts collapse with no guaranteed floor underneath them, because the guarantee had been traded away for flexibility. The pension didn't disappear because it failed workers. It disappeared because it was expensive for companies. The 401k didn't replace it because it was better for workers. It replaced it because it was cheaper for shareholders. The story that was told to make that transition feel acceptable was not the real story. And the real story is still running today. It just has better branding. So what can you actually do about this? Because this video is not meant to send you spiraling into financial despair on a Wednesday afternoon. 1. Find your fees today. Log into your 401k and look at the expense ratio on every fund you hold. If you are in actively managed mutual funds, charging 0.8% to 1.5% or higher annually, and your plan offers index funds at 0.03% to 0.1%. That switch alone over the remaining years of your career could be worth tens of thousands of dollars staying in your pocket instead of a fund manager's. 2. At minimum, contribute enough to capture your full employer match. Not doing this is turning down free money, which is in every context and every circumstance not acceptable. 3. Understand the difference between a traditional 401k and a Roth 401k. Traditional gives you a tax break now. Roth gives you tax-free withdrawals in retirement. With $36 trillion in national debt and a government that needs revenue, form your own opinion about where tax rates are heading in 30 years. 4. If your employer's 401k options are all expensive and mediocre, contribute just enough to get the match, then open a separate IRA to access better, low-cost funds your employer's plan doesn't offer. 5. Do not treat Social Security as a backup plan. The Social Security Trust Fund is currently projected to be depleted by around 2033, When that happens, benefits can only be paid from ongoing payroll tax revenue, which means an automatic cut of roughly 20% whether Congress acts or not. That is not a political opinion. That is actuarial math. 6. Start, not next month. Not after the next raise. The compounding that works against you through fees is the same compounding that works for you through time. Every year you wait is not just a year of contributions you missed, it's a year of compound growth that disappears from your final number forever. And now here's the uncomfortable truth, the one worth sitting with. The 401k system is not a conspiracy. Nobody designed it in a room specifically to fail regular workers. It emerged from decades of corporate lobbying, regulatory decisions, and financial industry incentives that all pointed in the same direction, toward a system that generates enormous, guaranteed, recurring revenue for asset managers, regardless of whether it generates adequate retirement outcomes for the people using it. Could you build a genuinely good retirement through a 401k if you start early, choose low-cost funds, contribute aggressively, and avoid the dozens of ways the system silently erodes your balance? Yes, absolutely, it is possible. But the uncomfortable reality is that the system was not designed for your success. It was designed for your participation. Those are not the same thing. And the difference between those two things is Marcus, staring at $118,000 on a Tuesday night, doing the math, and realizing the folder from HR on his first week was missing about 30 years worth of fine print. So I want to know where you land. Do you think the 401k is still the best tool available, and people just need to use it more aggressively? Do you think the pension needs to make a comeback in some form? Guaranteed income, employer-borne risk, no fund manager taking a cut? Or do you think the entire retirement system in America is so structurally broken that no amount of individual optimization fixes what is fundamentally a systemic problem? Drop it in the comments. Because after going through all of this data, the number that stuck with me wasn't the fee percentage. It wasn't the median balance. It was this one. 64% of Americans say they are more afraid of running out of money in retirement than they are of dying. Think about that. More scared of the financial outcome than the actual end. In a system that's been running for 45 years and had every opportunity to fix itself. Marcus is still doing the math. The number still doesn't add up, and somewhere in a financial industry boardroom, the fee revenue just hit another record.